Hi there, welcome to Bible/Chat. Jason, how are you?
Good. I'm catatonic today.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a busy Sunday, wasn't it?
Yes.
What a sweet day.
No, but it was an awesome Sunday.
Yeah, praise the Lord.
I think one of the best Sundays ever.
Yeah, super
since I've been
encouraging.
at FBC. So.
Yeah, we're gonna do a Bible/Chat, and I'm gonna have you just share what you shared about baptism.
Yes.
But just say all that.
It's very important.
It was. It was amazing.
What do you mean?
It was amazing. It was so helpful.
Praise the Lord. I'm glad. I mean, I think you asked just to share what it is, the significance of it. And I was like, well,
yeah.
There are a lot of guests. I don't know where they're at.
Totally, yeah.
Unbelievers, people from maybe high church or Catholic backgrounds that have a different,
different views.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, it's very helpful. They're super helpful. And then the testimonies are amazing, and then we closed.
Not a dry eye.
Oh, dude, that was wrecked. Anyway, so very encouraging. So we're picking up a couple of questions that came up, sort of off of our videos off of vaccines and then conscience issues that flowed out of that. So what's the question?
Wait.
Aren't you asking me? Way to go.
I forgot
You're an excellent planner.
I'm a horrible host or whatever I am.
This is the worst podcast I've ever heard.
The question is this. You see, you have a husband and wife.
Yeah.
And, two different political parties.
Right.
Two different views on vaccines.
Right.
Two different views on, drinking, movies, I don't know,
anything,
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Any conscience issue. What do you do?
Yeah.
Husband and wife, polar opposites.
Totally. So this is very tricky, right? Because you have the closest relationship you can possibly have in life, in marriage, and you want to be together in everything, and yet you find something that's a conscience issue that's dividing you. Very, very challenging, and because usually people's convictions are very strong, it can often be a very polarizing thing in a marriage between these two people. And so, what would we say to that couple? Well, the first thing we would say is you need to remember it's a conscience issue. It's not a biblical command, right? So if you have a biblical command where the wife is like, "Hey, I think we should violate this," or the husband says, "I think we should sin in this way," the answer is always no. That's never a question, right? But when it's a conscience issue, you have to remind yourself and remind yourselves together that it is a conscience issue, that it's not sin either direction.
Yeah.
Either way you go with it is not sin.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing we would say. It's a conscience issue. So remind yourself of that. Love one another through that. Second thing I would say is that the weaker conscience always has to win. And the reason why we say that is from 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 13. Okay. Paul says, "Therefore, if food causes my brother to stumble, I will never eat meat again so that I will not cause my brother to stumble." Mm-hmm. What he's saying is, you have a weak conscience, a strong conscience. Mm-hmm. The strong conscience says, I can eat meat and it's no big deal. The weak conscience says, I can't eat meat because of past Jewish traditions, all these things, and idolatrous past, and he says, so you have a strong person, a weak person. Mm-hmm. The strong person has to submit their conscience to the weak person. Mm-hmm. And why is that? Well, because you want to protect the sin that it would be for them to violate that conscience issue. Yeah. So while it's not sin to eat meat, Paul says it would be sin for that brother or sister to eat meat because their conscience would be smitten by it, and so we don't want to do that. So what do? Well, in that case, the strong submits to the weak. Yeah. So what does that mean in a marriage? Yeah. Well, what it means is you have a husband and wife who are on differing sides of a conscience issue. Okay. The one who is the stronger conscience, the one who says, I can do this, is the one who has to then submit to the weaker conscience. Okay. And so what that means in that situation very practically is that person with the stronger conscience has to give it up and be willing to just wait and be patient. Yeah. So if just take that and apply it to vaccines. Yeah, Who's the strong and the weak conscience there? Well, this is a trickier one because it isn't just a person who can get a vaccine is a strong conscience and a person who can't get a vaccine is a weak conscience. Because you might have a person who says, if you're not vaccinated, you're sinning. Yeah. That's actually a weaker conscience. Right. So in that case, you have the spouse who says, well, I'm to be honest, I can take it or leave it. It's not a big deal. Either way. Okay. That's actually the stronger conscience in that case.
In that case.
Yeah, and the spouse that says, you must get a vaccine is the weaker conscience. Other side is also true. You might have a spouse who says, I can't get a vaccine. I think that would be wrong. It would
be sin if I
did get it.
Okay.
And that would be a weak conscience. And the stronger conscience would be the person saying, I can take it or leave it either way. Because the stronger conscience is the one that's being more biblically informed. Yeah. So what do you do in that situation? Well, I would encourage the person with the stronger conscience in that case to submit themselves to the one with the weaker conscience. So if that means your spouse says, I really want us both to be vaccinated, and you can take it or leave it, and your conscience is strong, then go get the vaccine. You know, and if your spouse says, I really believe that we should not be vaccinated, before God it would be sin for me to do this,
don't go ahead and do it.
Don't go ahead and do it. Don't go hide and run to CVS and get your shots, right? So don't do that.
Yeah.
So that's where the stronger conscience has to submit itself to the weaker conscience, and be willing to do that.
Yeah.
And then what I would say is then try to inform the conscience of that person to strengthen it. So on both sides, not having a vaccine is not sin.
Yeah.
And having a vaccine is not sin.
Sure.
So let's build up those consciences so that person can be strengthened in the truth of the grace of God, and then they can walk in faith through that situation. You can decide together.
So that person, or on either side, we can't be judging each other sinfully, censoriously.
Exactly.
Yeah. So in terms of informing a conscience on any issue, on a preferential issue, right? We don't want to, especially for a husband, not to strong-arm the wife, because that would be the temptation, I would think.
Yeah. Well, I think both.
Well, on both sides, to be fair.
I mean, honestly,
equal opportunity.
Yeah, seriously. If you have a either side, male
That's
or female, the spouse who's like, no, we are going to do this, and I'm going to push this through until it gets done. Not healthy.
Even though, let's say that's the wife, and the husband's like, I can't violate my conscience.
Yeah, totally. And there has to be a willingness to say, hey, you want a strong conscience. Now, let's say you have two weak consciences married, right? One side who says, we must get the vaccine. The other says, we must not get the vaccine. What do you do?
Yeah.
We just wait.
Yeah.
You just have to wait and pray and try to inform those things biblically. Yeah. And then I would say reach out for counsel to someone at the church and help you walk through that.
Yeah, I think that would be wise. Yeah, especially in a case where, like you're saying, most intimate relationship, but you're fracturing. Yeah. You got to get help immediately. I mean, if it gets worse and worse, especially if they're both weak on a certain area.
Yeah, in that area, that would be those would both be weak consciences, and they have to be cared for.
We haven't had to talk about consciences until March 2020.
I know, it's really fascinating
because
really this is the last time this really came up in force was in the early 20th century. I mean, it hasn't happened since the social gospel movement and some of that stuff. So it's really strange, but in many ways it's healthy for the church. It's really so good
to help us think through these things biblically.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Thanks so much. Hope that's helpful for you.